Hello, I'm Yolande Hughes. I am from Inspire Tribe. We're a coaching and mentoring practice that has been helping individuals for close to a decade feel so good within themselves, regardless of what is happening in the external. Now, our work, we feel, is needed now more than ever before. And I wanted to make a video to introduce ourselves and invite you to one of our new initiatives. We're the creators of the EQ code, which is a fundamental logical building block system that helps rapidly change the way people think and feel and function in the world. And they feel really good within themselves, strong within themselves, regardless of what is happening externally. And because of the fundamental building blocks of the EQ code, we want to be able to share that with as many people as possible. So I'm inviting all of you to come and join us at the Mindset Gym. It's free and anybody can join. It is for people that are after a sense of community and want to join in with other people who really feel that during these horrific times at the moment, that they feel that if they work on themselves and they feel good within themselves, their thinking supports their feelings and vice versa, that they will get through this better than they would if they didn't do the personal work. So this is an open invitation to anyone that wants to join us to learn about mindset, tools and techniques and things that will help you through this time. And as I said, there is no cost involved at all. It's just a matter of clicking on the link below this video on Zoom and joining us. And we're running sessions 3 times a week. We're very excited to be able to share this with you, and I hope that this video assists you to decide if you would like to be part of the community or not, or maybe share this video with someone that you think may actually enjoy it and get some benefit from it. We refer in our practice to people as little circles. Might sound a little bit odd, but we do because it's a beautiful way to get equality. No little circle is more important than any other little circle. And when we refer to ourselves as little circles, there's 7.7 billion little circles in the world at the moment. And I would say not every single one of us has been affected with the COVID-19 virus to some degree. Now, the idea is no matter what is happening out in the external, we actually still get to feel good and happy and as green as possible. Now, unfortunately, we have grown up, most of us have grown up in an environment where when the outside is icky and messy and things aren't going the way they should, unfortunately, we have my pen's not working. Unfortunately, we have been taught to go, okay, well, when the external is not great, we then feel unhappy. But we need to reverse that and go, even when the external is not great, the idea is we feel green and happy, regardless of what is going on around us. Sorry, talking and drawing, it's difficult. So there are green circles and red circles. We are all very similar in the fact that all of us, the world over, are all trying to be happy and green as often as possible. And we are trying to avoid being red and hurt and unhappy as often as possible. Sometimes we do it in different ways. Sometimes little circles don't understand other little circles why they're doing it in that way. But at our core, we are all trying to be happy and green and avoid being red and hurt. This is a little table that we have often referred to with our clients, and I just want to briefly share it with you because it highlights red and green circles, and we're all showing up in very different ways at the moment in the chaos and the uncertainty of the world currently. So these lower levels show little circles as red and hurt. From the bottom here, they feel so red and hurt that they want to take out another circle as far as murder or physically, violently hurt them, to wanting to remove themselves from the world, taking themselves out through suicide or self-harm, through to speaking badly to another little circle, pushing anger or frustration or meanness out with the intent to hurt another little circle, or just being angry at the world and just spreading that out to really anyone that will listen. There's also little circles that they're not so much pushing it out onto others, which is a good thing. However, what they're doing is negatively talking badly about themselves. So that's what this picture highlights. And then we have little red circles that are just sad and hurt within themselves. Now, no judgment here at all. There's many of us that have fluctuated through these levels, hopefully not right down to this lower level of wanting to murder someone or even physically really hurt them. But I know there are times that people have really dropped into these lower levels. Now, the reason that I'm sharing this with you is it's imperative for ourselves to get an understanding of what level we're currently operating at, but also to have empathy and understanding that, especially with these stressful times at the moment and uncertainty, people are going to be dropping down to these lower levels. And it's very important that we understand as a community, okay, they're red and they're hurt and they're upset, and that's why they're acting in this way. Now, ideally, we want to move further up the scale, and all the work that we do here at Inspire Tribe is moving people from the lower levels up to the higher levels, and even from the middle levels up to the higher levels, and to stay there as often as possible. So this green circle here, this looks quite good. But this is reliant on another little circle telling them how good they are, or how good they look, or what a good job they've done, or what a good meal they've cooked, whatever. They're relying on external validation from another little circle. Validation is lovely. It feels good. Don't get me wrong. I'm a sucker for it myself, but we don't want to rely upon it. It's the icing on the cake rather than the cake itself. What we want to do is we want to help as many individuals feel happy green little circles within themselves, regardless of what is happening in the external world, and not necessarily needing the validation and reassurance from others that we are self-generating in our greenness. Now, the purpose of doing that is not so we can just keep our greenness to ourselves. The purpose of that is then to be able to share that with others. The us represents our partner and children. The them represents, so the me is yourself, partner and children, and then friends and work colleagues, and sharing that energy out right up to feeling so good within ourselves that we can happily and abundantly share those good feelings of greenness out to as many people as possible. So, as I said, we will fluctuate through this at different times, and that's okay. Go easy on yourself, and also be aware of where others are at. But as I said, all our work is very much focused on moving people up this scale and to stay in those higher levels as often as possible. And even if we drop, it's only a sharp dip, and then we come back up again. What we don't want to see is people coming down this scale and sort of dropping, or staying down here for a long period of time. That's not what we want to see. We want to see people coming up, and even if we're dipping, it's just a little dip and then up again, and moving in that direction. So at Inspire Tribe, it's myself and my partner, Nick. We're very different. We're kind of the yin and yang of each other. I love coaching. I've always been a very highly intuitive coach. Nick has always been systems focused. She studied engineering, whereas I did hospitality. Talk about opposites. But we've been in this game for a decade, and what Nick has assisted me to do, and what I've helped assisted Nick to do, is we've created this system. It's almost like a computer coding system for emotional intelligence. I say emotional intelligence, I also mean mindset. Mindset is probably more the logical way to describe it. Emotional intelligence is more of a feeling way to describe it. I know emotional intelligence stands for emotional intelligence, but the most commonly used phrase is EQ. So I'm going to just stick with EQ, but what we mean is emotional intelligence, also referring to mindset. When we talk about emotional intelligence, Dan Coleman's work from his book on emotional intelligence, it's been around for quite some time, but not everyone is totally aware of what emotional intelligence is. So let me give you a very brief rundown of what it is. It involves a level of self-awareness. So you've got to have some awareness of who you are and how you feel to have a level of emotional intelligence. But it doesn't just stop there. We also then need to manage ourselves. So it's one thing to have awareness, but it's another thing to then go, okay, well, I'm aware that I'm sad, or I'm aware that I'm angry and frustrated, or I'm really stressed at the moment. Then how well am I at managing that? Holding that in when appropriate, letting it out where appropriate, not letting my emotions spew out everywhere. So self-awareness and self-management are the two bottom ones, and they are crucial when we're talking about levels of emotional intelligence. What sits on top of those is the ability to have social awareness. So self-awareness and self-management is important, but then when we go out of our house, out into the world, or even not out of our house, in our houses with our families, we've got to have social awareness. How am I being, and how does that affect the people around us? If you're not coping with stress very well at the moment, if you're anxious, if you're fearful, if you're overwhelmed, that is going to have an impact on the people around you, and it's crucial to learn how to not only self-manage, but have that social awareness as well. How you're showing up affects everybody else. And then also we need relationship management. How do we all work together well, so everyone is lifting each other up? Now, you may listen to this and go, oh, that, I do all of that. I've got high emotional intelligence. Great. I would love you to come to the Mindset Gym so you can help us help other people. Or you may listen to that going, oh, I've got some strengths in some areas, but some areas I'm not so good at. Great, you are also welcome too, because we want to teach as many people as we can to improve their emotional intelligence, especially at this time, for their own benefit, but also for the benefit of everyone else that you're going to have any type of contact with. I want to run through some stats with you. They're not pleasant stats. They're actually quite confronting and quite overwhelming, but these are good time stats. These are the stats that happen when we're in good times, believe it or not. So that is the wrong thing to do. I've just wrecked my words there, but 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce in good times. I'm rubbing it out as I go, but I'm not intentionally doing that. 1 in 4 people experience a mental illness in any given 12-month period. 1 in 10 teenagers report that they've resorted to self-harming because they've felt so bad within themselves. And 1 in 6 women have experienced physical violence at some time in their life. Now, the number 1 cause of death for 12-year-olds to 25-year-olds is not drugs, it's not motorbike accidents, it's not corona, it is suicide. And also from 26 to 45-year-olds, the number 1 cause of death is also suicide. This is something very close to my heart. My own father committed suicide, and that was very upset. That happened a long, long time ago, but it was still horrific when it happened. And a lot of the reason why we do the work that we do is we want to have an impact on stopping people going down to that level of despair. Absolutely crucial. And I think in these scary times, these statistics are going to get a lot worse, which is why we want to invite as many of you to the Mindset Gym as possible to do really good work with as many people as we can. Some of you may have already done some personal development work. You may have read books. You may have done courses over the years, and that is fantastic. What happens though is if you've got sort of random tips and tricks and things in your mind, when pressure comes, which is now with everything that's happening, we can often go, oh, I don't know which one to use. I don't know how to stay motivated. I remember reading this book at one point, but I don't know what I'm meant to be doing now. So we can get all a bit slippery and a bit, I don't know how to stay good and sane and happy. What we have done with the EQ code is we have created very logical steps, ordered principles that stack on each other. So then when the pressure of life is applied, you know exactly what to do in the right order so for you to feel happy and green. It's a little bit like what the computer industry has done many, many years ago. If we look at how computers have changed in the last 60 years, there's been a trillion-fold increase in what they've been able to do and how rapidly they've evolved. Emotional intelligence is nowhere near that. We looked at a graph, emotional intelligence is a slight incline like this, and the IT industry has just gone skyrocketed like that. So what we have done with our work is we've created the kind of computer code equivalent to emotional intelligence. So just as computer coding agreed on very simple rules and logic that has created a whole heap of growth and gain within that industry, we have done similar in the field of emotional intelligence and mindset. Hence the EQ code. Now the EQ code works on both the logic and the feelings because both of those things are very important to have. If we just rely on our thinking alone, it's actually only 3%. And when we look at our feelings, it's 97%. So our feelings and our unconscious. When I talk about conscious thinking, it's a 3% up here in our logical brain. The 97% is the back of our brain, the reptilian brain, and the the heart brain, the gut brain. We actually have little brain cells throughout our entire body, and there's so much power in being able to use that and not just rely on the 3% of logic. And that's where big change happens. If we look at words, you can see those words. If we look at the words add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Oh, struggling with my iPad. It makes more sense in our brain to see the pictures as opposed to the words. So we all know add, subtract, divide, and multiply. The images we know within our body know exactly what to do. Same with danger signs as well. There's words, that's one thing in our logic, but the symbols of, no entry, flammable, and poison, we feel instinctively in our body, and we know how to act and what to do. So we have done that in the field of emotional intelligence and mindset, as I keep saying. We have our 14 words here, which is the logic, and we have all our symbols here. We have a few more symbols than this. This is just a taste of the symbols and how we work. It's with colors, shapes, and symbols to move through all sorts of challenges that come from mindset, and regardless of what is happening in the external. What we do here at Inspire Tribe and what we will be doing in the Mindset Gym is we will be talking, I'll stay in pink. We'll be talking about principles that will work on your IQ, your logic, spelling out and slowly teaching you different mindset tools, fundamental life-saving and life-changing tools. That then improves your emotional intelligence. When our self-awareness goes up, our self-management improves, our social awareness and our relationship management improve. This AQ here stands for adversity quotient, which actually means resilience. So we also then need to learn how to be resilient. When we go out there into the world and when we're hearing all this stuff on the news, we have to have a certain level of resilience that sits on top of IQ and EQ. And then what we ultimately want to get to is VQ, which is vulnerability. There's no point in going out there and being vulnerable if we don't have the resilience that underpins us, or we don't have the emotional intelligence. So here at Inspire Tribe, we work on all these levels, and we start here at the bottom, IQ, building up your EQ, building up your resilience, and eventually getting you to a beautiful, strong, vulnerable little circle. So hopefully that has been enough information. I'm happy to take calls, emails to explain anything more about the Mindset Gym. This is simply an invitation for you to come and join us online 3 times a week. There's a link below with all of the details about how it runs. It is free and everyone is welcome, and we just want to reach as many people as possible and help people out with how to feel good within themselves while this crazy chaotic world is happening around us. It is possible to do. It is relatively simple to do. We've codified it. We have a very structured system, and we're happy to share this entire system with you guys, anyone that wants to join in. So the link is below. For some reason, if the link doesn't work or anything like that, please send us an email, support@inspiretribe.com.au. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you're staying well and staying safe, and we would love to see you on our next session. Thanks.